Nowadays, are we living in what we define a sort of global race for innovation? Ecosystems from all over the world, I'm referring to regions, I'm referring to cities, I'm referring to province, are trying to surface on the world's innovation map. But it's a very, very tough job because, as you know, the big innovation hunters, and I'm referring to the big venture capital funds, the large corporation, obviously focus on the ecosystem that has the highest concentration and density of innovation. And so for all the others, beyond Silicon Valley, Israel, probably another 10 dozen large ecosystems in the world, it's very, very difficult to get noticed, despite the fact that there is a lot of interesting innovation coming outside of these hotspots. Interesting startups, interesting scale-ups, interesting IP. And on the other hand, there is a lot of established companies that are still in the need of looking for innovative solutions where they are. And so it's very, very important to understand what the best regions, the best ecosystem locally are doing for trying to promote their internal innovation ecosystem on the one hand, and on the other hand, to get noticed at the global level. Today, we are deep diving a very interesting use case, and I have the pleasure and the honor to have with me Leire Madariaga. Leire is the Director for Digital Transformation and Entrepreneurship at the Basque Government. Welcome, Leire.
Hello, Alberto. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
So, Leire, we've been following what you guys are doing in the north of Spain. And I think particularly the work that the SPRI, the agency of the Basque Government, has been doing is very, very interesting. I will ask you first to introduce yourself, and afterward we can go a bit more deeper.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity of having this chat with you today. Let me present myself. I am Leire Madariaga. At present, I am Director for Digital Transformation and Entrepreneurship in the Basque Government. The Basque Government is the government of the Basque Country in the north of Spain. We are one of the regions of Spain, and we have, and I will have the opportunity of explaining later on, a great degree of autonomy, political and economic autonomy, which has always made us be quite pushy and quite innovative in everything related with innovation, technology, industry, entrepreneurship, and I guess we'll have the opportunity of speaking about all that. I belong to what we call the Ministry of, in our government, regional government, the Ministry of Economic Development, Sustainability and Environment. And more precisely, I belong to the Vice Ministry of Technology, Innovation and Digital Transformation. And we work very closely with SPRI, as you were saying. SPRI is our regional development agency. It's our public regional development agency with whom we develop all our instruments for policy regarding competitiveness.
And so I think let's go a bit more deeper again, because again, working for a region, the institutional settings is relevant. And again, obviously, the Basque region has been enjoyed a certain level of autonomy, and so that's probably also help you to be able to identify and test your own trajectories. But let's understand a bit better the institutional settings. Let's go a bit more in terms of what has been some of the achievements, again, some of the programs that SPRI has done over the years that you believe are to be considered as potential interesting example to follow suit by others.
Okay, well, I won't give a very large explanation about institutions, about history and so on, but something that is relevant is that the Basque Country, we have our own fiscal and tax system approved by Europe, and so this means that we have the competence to collect our own taxes. Of course, we pay our contribution to the Spanish state, the Spanish government, but this has allowed us to to manage our own budget. Why is this so important? Because second highlight, we are a very industrial region. Almost 25% of our GDP comes from industry, which is one of the highest rates in Europe, and is clearly the highest rate in Spain. That means that for us, investing, promoting, supporting our industry is one of our main objectives. And having, let's say, the competence to manage our own budget has allowed us to defend or to promote industry, whereas in other regions near us, this wasn't a priority for them because other sectors are more important. So industry, very important for us, and competitiveness of industry, crucial for us. For all over the years, we have developed policies, industrial policy, now we call it competitiveness policy. We have always established these priorities. We developed, or we have been developing for the last 25 years, our own regional specialization strategy. Now it's something that comes from Europe, but this strategy was established in the Basque Country, as I say, 25 years ago, started to be established in the Basque Country 25 years ago, where we identified what we call our priority fields of activity, which are industry, intelligent industry, energy and clean technologies, food and health. And all our instruments concerning economic development are oriented towards supporting mainly these four sectors. Having said that, for us, everything related with entrepreneurship, with technology-based entrepreneurship, has to do with the competitiveness of these sectors. We are not, let's say, our aim for having this strong technology-based ecosystem, entrepreneurship-based ecosystem, is not because it's something fashionable, it's something that, well, nowadays sounds trendy. It's because we consider technology-based entrepreneurship as one of the key factors of the competitiveness of our industry. We have, well, or we are considered, or we think that we are considered, and we are considered one of the leading innovation hubs in Southern Europe. We are one of the top regions for innovation in Spain. We invest 2.2% of our GDP on research and development, following, let's say, the last risk indicators coming from Europe, which is a high standard, but we still aim at reaching 3% along most developed countries in Europe. And we are considered one of the high developed regions in innovation in Europe. We have a strong, let's say, history in supporting technology and research and development, but we consider that the following of that, once we invest and once we support a strong network of technology centers, a strong network of research, science and development, we think that having startups, technology-based startups that can make our industry more competitive is the following step, and that is on what we are for the last 10 years.
No, I think it's very relevant what you just said. I think the picture that you provide, because to understand that obviously when you are sitting on a very industrial, cluster, and particularly with a strong manufacturing role, I think the responsibility is even larger because, again, we never, unfortunately, the current times tell us that we cannot give anything for granted, and we need to continue to push the industry at the next level, because if not, the industry at a certain point will start losing momentum. So the next immediate question is, are you saying, when you're saying that you are sort of fostering technology-based entrepreneurship, you're trying to foster this marriage, this wedding between, let's say, the existing industry, established companies with these new startups and scale-ups? How do you do that pragmatically? What are the programs that you believe has been successful run locally that you would probably recommend to your peers in other regions that are trying to do something similar?
Well, we believe strongly in the concept of environment, of ecosystem. Now everyone speaks about an ecosystem, no? But we think we can say it another way: environment. It is not, or at least from our perspective, it is not easy to build or to have startups if you don't have strong industry beside, if you don't have strong technological centers that are developing research and development on those new technologies, on those new disruptive technologies, if you don't have a strong environment of universities of knowledge, and of course the role of public administration, because private companies are crucial for us. But before reaching private, before reaching business, there has to be a public administration that invests also in what can be said is before all that. No, we are a small country, a small region, 2.2 million inhabitants. 7,000 square kilometers, so you can easily travel through the Basque Country in 1 hour, an hour and something. And this also, of course, is a weakness for us in terms of competing on the global scenario. But the strength is that, being a small country, we have very strong relationship between public and private sector, and public-private partnership, where we have many of our instruments come from the public-private partnership. I usually say that, of course, we do not know, not everyone, not the 2 million people know each other, but we almost know each other, no? And having this dynamic public administration, we have been developing, as I said, more than 20 years, this strong network of research, development, and science network. Along with that, we in the Basque Government, we work closely with SPRI, our regional development public agency. Well, it's not that we work closely, it's one of our instruments. And through SPRI, we develop different strategies in order to promote entrepreneurship. The first one, which is for us perhaps the most important one, is the establishment of the BICS Business Innovation Centers. We are divided in three. Inside our region, we have 3 provinces, and we have a strong business innovation center, public business innovation centers in each of these provinces, along with the provincial government, because we have a regional government, but we also have provincial governments. Public, yes. Let's say that the public institutions are quite important here in the Basque Country. This comes from the fact, I will go to the beginning of my conversation, that we collect our own taxes, that we manage our budgets. So this gives us also, let's say, the strength to develop our own instruments. So BICS are the infrastructures where we have our own teams. Public BICS, as I say, spread all over the Basque territory, where first ideas come and arrive. And the team in BICS, in the Business Innovation Centers, are the ones that accompany all those ideas in order to become projects and in order to become companies. Not only incubation, it's not only that we have spaces for them, that we have laboratories, that we have, well, high developed infrastructure. It is also the service that our teams give them in terms of first of all, making that idea become, let's say, a more business plan, and giving them access to all the instruments that the public financing instruments that we have, not only in the Basque Country, but also in Spain and in Europe. Starting from the idea, we cover up to 60,000 euros the cost of validating the business model, and we can reach up to 1.5 million euros in interest-free loans. And in the middle, we have different instruments, as I say, subsidies, grants, investments. We also have a public risk, public capital risk company that can also participate in these new technology-based companies, assuming more risk than what private, let's say, private investors should do or would do. And we are there, the public instruments are there to cover all those phases where we consider there is more risk. Always, Alberto, mainly aligned with the 4 fields of activity that I was mentioning at the beginning: smart industry, energy and clean technologies, food and health. So we try to combine technology, transversal technology, mainly digital technologies nowadays, focused with applications on those 4 fields. And as I say, in the middle, we have instruments that start from 60,000 euros. It can be also less. 60,000 euros is the maximum in our first support program, up to 1.5 million. We also have different public venture capital instruments that can accelerate also the development of these startups. And what we like saying is that we can define a tailor-made itinerary to support Basque companies or foreign companies also that decide to establish in the Basque Country. We are open to foreign companies, of course.
Oh, that's interesting. And then you also have some tools for supporting the globalization of the best local startups. What you do?
Yes, this what I have mentioned up to now are, let's say, the classical programs or public support programs. But then 10 years ago, we started thinking that apart from having or for trying to push the appearance and the existence of startups, technology-based startups in the Basque Country, we also, once again, with our obsession of competitiveness of industry, we also thought that we had to make our own companies, our own industrial sector, have access. How could we match startups with our companies, with our industrial sector? And 8 years ago, we launched for the first time the Bind 4.0 initiative, where the traditional Bind initiative that as I have said, has been going on for the last 8 years. It's a methodology through which we give service to our industrial corporates, Basque industrial corporates, and we give them access to startups from all over the world. The program, the initiative starts in July. We launch an international call, where we collect the applications. In the last call that closed in September, we collected 777 applications from all over the world. And we do the scouting, we do the selection, we do the final, let's say, proposition of the startups that we think could be useful for our corporate companies. This year, for example, we selected 128. And since October until January, these startups from all over the world, and of course, Basque and Spanish startups also, they enter in relationship with the corporates. We have 70 corporates in our initiative, 70 Basque corporates, and through a methodology of pitches and through the assessment or the support on negotiations, usually at the end of the day or in January, we will have around 40 projects that will be selected. Well, 40. I must say better, 40 startups that will be selected, and those 40 corporates will sign a contract for more than 25,000 euros to develop a project with those startups coming from all over the world, or with the startups that are Basque or Spanish. And they will develop that project from January till July. At the same time, the startups will receive, let's say, an acceleration services. It is true that the type of startups that we look for through this initiative are startups with product services that are very near to market. I mean, we do not look for startups that are starting.
Early stage, yes.
That's it. This is a way, on the one hand, of giving access to our corporates to innovative solutions, innovative technologies, and at the same time, we provide these startups with one first client, with a very strong industrial client, with a corporate company. And in fact, 7 out of 10 continue working with that company. This is a way of giving them this first commercial client that when a startup starts, financing is very important. Knowledge is very important, talent is very important, but what they need when they are already in the market, what they need is a real client, and they need a real reference, and they need to demonstrate that they are good because they have been working for Mercedes, they have been working for Iberdrola, they have been working for Arteche, for the big industrial Basque companies.
Well, that's important. And you do also something similar for the local Basque startups to find opportunities abroad meaning outside of the region, outside of Spain?
To be honest, we are not so active. We are not so active on that field because, as I say, the main driver of all this is the competitiveness of our industry.
The industry, yes. Okay, that's clear.
Perhaps Alberto, this is a bit strange because it's not normal to say that for us, entrepreneurship, technology-based entrepreneurship, is not an objective on its own. It's a mean of having a competitive industrial sector, a competitive manufacturing sector to support the competitiveness of our economy. So nowadays, technology-based startups, they are global. Of course, we have connections with other hubs. Of course, we have programs of exchanging journeys of startups from the Basque Country in other hubs, and receiving startups from other hubs also in our BICs, in our business innovation centers. But those programs or those initiatives are not so focused as Bind, for example, in giving access to clients, in really matching in what is known as the venture client approach.
Yes.
And we really believe in the venture client approach, and that is a message that we are launching to our not only big companies. We opened 2 years ago another line inside Bind, an SME Bind also. We are starting to work also with SMEs, which is more difficult because SMEs do not have the resources, do not have the mindset many times. They have difficulties in even understanding the language of startups, even though their size is more, let's say, it's more similar and they should be more used. Sometimes it's easier for a startup, or we should think it's easier for a startup to work with an SME than to work with a big company. But the difference in terms of language and in terms of the speed or the priorities is stronger. No? So we have also launched a line for our Basque local SMEs. This is going slower. We managed to have about 20-25 SMEs per year that are on this on this itinerary also of working with startups. And at the end of the day of the process, we have about 10 projects. The numbers, the figures are not as outstanding as the classical Bind, but we think that this is the way of having this, let's say, of making our industry and more competitive. No, so this is what we are really focused on.
No, I totally agreed. I think also because in Europe SMEs are the backbone of the economies. But I, I echo your words of saying that is more difficult for SMEs to approach what is called the open innovation game, because again, there's a language barrier, there's a cultural barrier. Most of them are also not clear understanding that there is an urge to innovate. And unfortunately, company size is not an alibi to innovate. Actually, the smaller you are, the more needy you are to innovate. But substantially, they are the players that probably we need to focus on. We are doing some experimentations across the globe, mostly focused on SMEs. And one good piece of learning that we got is more difficult to make them understand the need to take action. But then when they see the opportunities, they move faster, because again, the smaller size also helps them to move faster. So it's been that the time is more difficult to explain the need to come on board on a journey like this, the so-called open innovation journey. But on the other hand, when they get it, they move faster. And we see that the time to get the first industrial pilot from SMEs sometimes is shorter than a large company that is more used to do that. Because again, that's some interesting learning. And we see that actually there is light at the end of the tunnel, and it's so much needed, because again, the European industrial backbone is at risk today to getting obsolete. And so we need to really help them to move to the next step. And the only step is possible with open innovation.
And we have also opened last year another line in Bind that we call Bind GovTech. This is also more focused on helping, once again, our startups by giving them access to the public sector. You know also that public institutions are becoming more and more, let's say, difficult to work with, more and more bureaucracy, more and more regulations. And this makes us very, very, let's say, faraway clients for startups. So we are now also working with some SPRI is inside the initiative, with some of our public companies, and making them also work with these startups. And this is also being very, very useful, not only for the startups that are having access to a new client, to a new type of client, to the public client, but it is also being very, very useful for our own public sector that is discovering a new way of having access to innovative, to disruptive technologies that sometimes through the classical contracts do not appear, because in the classical contracts, well, the big firms and the consulting firms always appear, and this is giving access to the startup world, also to the public sector. So we are also very well trying to innovate inside our own Bind program, and although it's not easy to produce yearly new initiatives and to combine all the initiatives at the time, the Bind team is very active, is very innovative, and we are trying to develop different always in this initiative, always with the venture clients approach.
No, super interesting. So Larry, thank you so much for sharing the process and the journey that you have been through over the past year. I think Basque Government is one of the most interesting laboratory for supporting local industrial environments, also because we have a very, very important historical industrial legacy that is super important to be maintained. So I think what you guys have been trying to do, I think might be also an interesting benchmark for other regions to follow. And I think that is the kind of dialogue that we want to maintain with this conversation, to share best practice, sharing learnings, sharing obstacles and barriers that we have found, and the way to move around might probably help each region in the world to move faster in a very, very needed way that is the way to open innovation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alberto, and thank you to Mind the Bridge for this opportunity. And let me say that we also follow very closely what you are doing all over the world, and we would be pleased to collaborate. And I am sure that our our ways will soon find each other. Thank you very much, and congratulations for everything that you are doing too.
Thank you.